Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here with my spoiler-free review for Shazam. I almost said Captain Marvel, super old school. So the movie comes out in like 2 weeks. I was fortunate enough to have randomly seen the commercial that Fandango was doing, like the early screening. So I was like, I have to see that. Got to see it today, and the movie is freaking amazing. Like I was so happy when I saw it, and it ended, and I was like, this is good from beginning to end. I loved everything about this movie. So I'm super happy to say that in 2 weeks, everyone will find. I won't be like 1 in 100 people where it's like, no, Shazam's actually really awesome. Oh, you don't know who that is? Cool. So I won't be like 1 of 100 people. Like everyone will see this movie, hopefully, and they'll be like, oh, he is that's a sweet character. Like no wonder he used to sell more than Superman. But then the weird Captain Marvel Shazam thing happened, and they had to stop printing for a minute, and then Superman became the face of DC, and that's legitimately the story of how that happened. And unfortunately, Shazam kind of just fell to the wayside because of weird legal rights with his name, and they just stopped printing, and then poof, Superman's #1. But Shazam used to be, back when he was Captain Marvel, Shazam sold like twice as much as Superman, and he would have been the face, which would have been way cooler to me because I've always thought Shazam was way sweeter than Superman because factually he is. But that's, once again, even though I said factually, it's a fact, it's still technically my factual opinion. But everyone will see this movie and you'll kind of realize why, like, this character, when done right at least, which I think they do perfectly in this film, is fun. Like, there's some stuff, there are moments I can think of when it comes to the character of Shazam that are like, this is why this character is great. This movie is going to be the prime example that everyone sees. But going to like some old school stuff, Shazam versus Superman, I think, was Justice League Unlimited, one of the best episodes that they ever did for that show. And like they have a fight, and it's just one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And then Young Justice, which is just 100% perfect. There's this very specific episode that focuses on Shazam because they have some stuff where basically the kids and the adults get split up into like two separate dimensions, and Shazam being Shazam, he can be a child and an adult, and they do some great stuff with his character. But this movie is done so well. Like, it has everything that should be dealt with this character is done, and I was super happy to see that. Like, they do the comedy right, they do the action right. Like, it actually looks, fairly cool. They do the serious element of Billy Batson being a foster child. That's actually done very seriously. Like, they talk about that. They talk about the issues he goes through, even some of his foster siblings and stuff like that, his brothers and sisters, some of the stuff they go through. Like, some of the characters kind of get nods, specifically of course like his brother, who really gets a lot of focus that you see in the trailer all the time. The two of them are kind of like the two big characters, but it's so well done. Like, it's incredibly well done. Like, even the side characters have really standout moments that I can instantly think of. Especially towards the end, there's like a very specific, like, nerdy, there's some nerdy gaming stuff where I was like, I'd probably do the exact same thing that happened during like some of the end stuff in this movie, and I was like, I'd probably do that exact same thing because I'm such a nerd. So I loved it personally for some of those little gaming elements. But it was really good. Like, I really love what they did with this movie. Like I said, every element of it was incredibly well done. The villain was really good. Like, I thought they did a great job. Like, there's a scene, actually it's like the first full, like, who the villain is literally, from the beginning of the movie. You see some stuff that happens and it's like, oh, okay, that's the villain. But when the character becomes like what you see from the trailers, it's like, oh, like, you're a bad guy, you're a super villain. His first scene when he's like fully the villain, I was like, oh, well, that is really, really great. Like, it's a standout moment where some of the tropes, which is kind of a big part of this movie, is very meta. It's like, kind of in the realm of Deadpool, except they don't break the fourth wall. But they do some stuff where it's like, okay, it's gonna go this way, and then it doesn't, and it's done so well, when it doesn't. And they do some stuff when the villain is like first fully powered up, and I was like, I thought this was gonna be not just drawn out, but I thought it would be like a bit more subdued, and I was so wrong, and in the best way possible. Like, it was like, holy crap, like they don't f around in this movie, which actually brings me to another point. I'm pretty sure, definitely, this movie is PG-13, and I would say that this is on the like the director, I can't remember the name, but it's the person that did the movie Lights Out, which is a horror movie. That, I would say, is fairly accurate. Like, you kind of see that in some of the darker stuff that happens in the movie, where it's like, this is a PG-13 movie, but there's some stuff where it's like, I didn't see that coming. Like, if they had blood included, there's some parts where it was like, that would be like there would be like organ showing if it was like R-rated. Like, if they went one rating up, it would go from no blood to like full on body parts and stuff. Like, some of the stuff that happens is like, okay, they have to just like not do certain things, but what happened there, and it's like, that's pretty intense. That's pretty crazy. So it's very interesting. It's like if you've seen Gremlins, for those of you or parents and stuff, where it's like, would you let your kid watch Gremlins? It's not as bad as Gremlins, where it's like someone gets put in the blender or a little monster gets blended up and crazy stuff like that. But it's intense. Like there's some stuff that happens where it's not it's not like super intense or anything. Like I said, there's no prosthetic fake little monsters getting blended up or exploded. But it's like, there might be some things where, depending on the age of the kids, it's like, okay, it's cool. You might have to talk to the kid, but it was interesting. I was like, yeah, they pushed the realm on like very specific scenes, that PG-13 rating, because it's like, yeah, that's dark. That's dark right there. But that first scene where the villain is like the villain, so well done. I was just like, that's good. And just all the way through, he's a really good villain. Mark Strong, if I'm not mistaken, is for the actor. Really well done for Savannah, I believe is the name of the character, but so good. Loved his character. Zachary Levi as Shazam was super cool. Definitely funny the whole way through. The action, like I said, was really good. That dynamic between the funny adult, but then the serious elements with the child actor. Of course, I don't remember like the newer actors, unfortunately, but all well done. So I really loved the movie. The ending was a huge surprise for me. It was just the way it was handled. I was like, okay. I was curious how things were going to play out, because I was like, well, this could happen and that could happen, but that probably, certain other stuff I doubt is going to happen. So, I can't obviously get into those details, but it was just all really well done. There are two post-credit sequences. There's the one after like the main credits with the animation and stuff, which is really, really funny. It's like some hand-drawn stuff, and it's just really good. Like they make a ton of references to the other DC characters during like the main credit sequence and stuff, and it's really funny. So I think everyone will love that, just for a lot of the jokes and references that they make. So it's really entertaining to watch. So they have like the first sequence, which is basically for like, here's the really important stuff that may or may not, will definitely sort of lend to future like storylines. And then the second credit sequence, like the post credit sequence, is just like the funny one, but it's still entertaining. Also meta as well, like making jokes that it's a joke you've heard a bunch, but it just works so well that they put it in there. It's like, it's really funny to have that in a movie where they talk about other stuff that goes on around these characters. So definitely works the whole way through. Everything they do for the character looks cool. I love the costume. Like I always thought it looked cool seeing it from the trailers, but seeing it like on screen, on the big screen, and like seeing it like close up, and it's not just like clips here and there, and you see people interact with it, and how certain little elements change. Like the scene from the trailer where his brother like touches the outfit and the lightning like comes off and it's like in between his fingers. Little stuff like that, when you see it like on the big screen, it looks even cooler. So it's like, okay, that it looks even better than like watching on my laptop a bunch, or even seeing it on the TV. It's like, oh, that actually looks really, really cool. Like I didn't realize how much I like the costume. So definitely love the look of the costume. Like I said, the villain's good. Everything they do with that, I think, is very entertaining. I'm very excited to see what they're going to be doing with this whole Black Adam deal and how that's supposed to play out going in. I assume that that's supposed to be like the official sequel is just going to be Black Adam. I could be mistaken, but I think that's what they were talking about ahead of time with, The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson being Black Adam. So I'm very excited to see how that's going to end up playing out whenever we get the sequel, because I think this movie is going to sell like gangbusters. I don't know. I can't say enough good stuff. Like all the reviews are out today because of the early screening. So the official, at least spoiler-free review embargo has been lifted. But man, like it's just good. Like it's a great freaking movie. I mean, obviously it doesn't have the most competition. You got Wonder Woman, and that's really it. In my opinion, I mean, Aquaman was okay. Justice League also just okay. Batman v Superman was just garbage, in my opinion. Man of Steel I actually didn't hate. Like I know a lot of people hated on that. I was fine with it. I know the stuff that happened at the end was dumb, but I was like, all right. There's also the tornado thing. That's still dumb, but didn't hate it. Didn't hate it like I hated just Batman v Superman, and also Suicide Squad was okay. But this movie is fantastic. Like it's just the best one, just all around. Like Wonder Woman is really good. Also different ends of the spectrum. Like Wonder Woman is a drama, ultimately, like a drama action movie. Shazam is a comedy action movie. Like it's more comedy than it is action. It's not like, oh, it's an action movie. Like it's mostly meant to be funny, and then it's got good action in it. So it's like that. That's where Wonder Woman was mostly drama, but it had I think Wonder Woman technically had even more action in it. and ultimately it works out for both movies. But with Shazam as a full package, like from beginning to end, 100% enjoyed it. There wasn't a part where I thought like kind of slacked off or anything was a little bit weird. The whole third act deal that everyone feels the same about for Wonder Woman, where not just the mustache, but the element as a whole, where it becomes a bit less grounded because they go like full superpower mode, and it's just like, oh, it's super duper CG and stuff now. I felt like they did a great job, which is always one of my favorite things. Is I was super scared that they were gonna go kind of the Superman route, which is what I always hate. It's CG flying, a couple of punches, which is why I always hated Superman. They're flying, somebody's grabbing them, somebody as they're flying really fast. They punch each other a few times, and then they fly towards each other, and they punch each other again, and they just punch each other further. And it's really just punches, and it doesn't look cool or entertaining in any way, shape, or form. They do some really good stuff at the end of this, where it's like, okay, it's not just that they don't even do that often. Oddly enough, as much as like the characters can fly and have super strength for the hero and villain, they don't do it too much. And I'm like, that's nice. That's nice. There's some simple like hand to hand combat, and then the CG stuff doesn't. It doesn't happen. It's not overdone, in my opinion, at least. So I was happy about that because I was like, that was the one thing I was worried about. I was like, man, I feel like we're gonna get to the end of this movie and it's just gonna be them flying past buildings, and it's gonna be Man of Steel. It's gonna be the ending of that because Shazam is comparable to Superman. It's that same element, super strength and super speed and flying and stuff. He has less powers, but still way sweeter. But yeah, like I love the movie, so I can't really talk much about spoilers. Of course, I'm gonna do my spoiler review after I do this, so when that comes out in like 2 weeks, you guys will see me in like the exact same outfit, because I just want to like get all of it out now. But man, it was good. I'm pretty sure I'm actually gonna pay to see this again. Like the last time I did that, or wanted to do it at least, was for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which I totally screwed that up, and now the movie's on Blu-ray, so I'm gonna get the movie. But honestly, I was watching and I was like, I feel not as good as I did with Into the Spider-Verse, and that's probably a slight bias because Spider-Man is like tied for like one of my favorite heroes, and that had like 5 different Spider people in it. But this, I was like, I might like. It was in my head where I was like, I don't know, I like it so much. I'm pretty much 100% sure I'm gonna see it twice. But I was like, I don't know, it's in my head already. I was like, I might end up buying this movie when it comes out because I just enjoyed it that much, and just some of the surprises that they have. Specifically in the end of this movie, where I was just like, that's cool, and I just didn't think it would actually happen. There was a hope, but I was like, nah. Some stuff you just hope for in comic book movies, where it's like, as a comic nerd, I'm like, all right, I kind of want this thing, I want to see that thing happen, I want to see this power, I want to see the character. With Shazam, one of the things I always love seeing is when he says Shazam and then the lightning bolt comes down, but he doesn't transform because he uses it as a weapon. That's one of my favorite things with Shazam. I always thought that was like the coolest thing in the universe. So it was like little stuff like that, where it's like, what the character can do and you've seen it happen before, and you're just like, I want to see this element with the main character, but you might not think it'll happen. Some stuff, not that specifically, that's not what I'm talking about, but there's other elements, much more entertaining, I promise you that. But there's other more entertaining elements where it's like, maybe that'll happen. I would love to see it happen. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Some do, some don't. But it's great, like all the way through. Love the movie. Can't recommend it enough, honestly. So, I think I've watched like 2 or 3 other reviews. Everyone said the same thing. It was just like, it's so good. Like, it's not just surprisingly good, because I actually wasn't worried about it. I know a lot of people were, because DC movie. But it's just like, man, after this movie officially comes out, I'm pretty sure it's just going to be like, okay, everyone gets it now. Shazam is amazing. And it's going to be like Shazam, everything, everywhere, all the effing time. Especially considering we got like Avengers coming up, and it's like Avengers is, literally with Endgame, it's like, all right, Avengers is, clipping it here. We know Spider-Man's coming out. We know some other stuff is happening, but Avengers is like hitting it, and it's like, that's the end for Avengers. And now we have Shazam, where it's like, all right, that's the perfect time for it to come out. It's in between these 2 big movies, Captain Marvel, oddly enough, and then, Endgame. And we got Shazam right in the middle. And it's like, that's a great sweet spot for them, because now they have that time, and people are going to be able to be like, okay, now DC has something that's like right at the top 100%. It was always Wonder Woman, and now I'd say Shazam, surpassed it for sure. But can't wait to see what they do with the character. I don't know what the F they're doing in general with the DC movies, but I know for sure they could cancel literally everything. When people see this movie, they will be like, yep, we're at least making 5 more of those. Like, that's just pretty much guaranteed. Like, this movie was so well done, they're gonna greenlight sequels like right off the top once this movie officially releases. So Gotta say, when it comes out in 2 weeks, go see it. You'll want to see it probably more than once. It just depends how much you really enjoy it, but it is really funny. I think the action is good. Whether you're into the comics or not, legitimately, the ending is going to be like, okay, let's see where this goes now. So I can promise you that everyone will love the way this movie ends and how things may or may not go in the future. So can't wait to see what they do with the sequel. Can't wait to honestly see this freaking movie again because I really loved it. And I'm glad. I'm just happy. I'm like, man, I've always liked Shazam, and now everyone will get it finally. Because legitimately, it's like 1 in 100 people even probably know who the heck Shazam even was before this movie was announced, and it was like, finally, it's happening. So it's like that thing. It's probably for people, when the first Iron Man movie came out, anyone that actually liked Iron Man, it was like, oh snap, like Iron Man gets a movie, Captain America gets a movie. Nobody cared about those people. It was always, Spider-Man and the X-Men, and that was it. And then the Avengers came in, it was like, these aren't bad. Everyone loves the Incredible Hulk, but, this will be the one. This is the one for DC. Like, everyone knows the other characters, except for Aquaman. He got a decent movie, and now Shazam finally gets his. And people, and that's the funny thing, Aquaman is known for being a joke, and he got a movie. No one even knows who Shazam is, and I'm curious how that's going to play out, because everyone always made fun of Aquaman. It was like, oh, yeah, everyone knows him, but they always made fun of him. Shazam was so unknown, like people don't even know how to make fun of him or what he's even about. So with this being like the first full mainstream breakthrough of Shazam, not counting obviously the comics from the 50s, I'm excited to see how this kind of affects them going forward and what happens with the character Shazam. Like once a character gets popular in the movies, they start changing stuff in the comics to reflect that, and the character just gets boosted up because it's like, oh crap, like everyone wants to see Shazam, just like everyone wants to see Tony Stark and Captain America and all the Avengers characters in the comic books. So can't wait to see what they do. Excuse me, going forward, but love the movie, highly recommend it. Like I said, I'll have my spoiler review. Like the week the movie comes out, I'll probably put it up like the day before, or whenever I see other people putting up their, more important reviewers putting up their spoiler reviews, I'll be like, oh, I'm not important enough to know when embargoes are lifted. I just have to wait and see when other people do them. So whenever those pop up, I'll have mine up as well. But love the movie. I think today was the only day for the early screening. I think it was just, today. So unfortunately, I think you just have to wait the 2 weeks, but so good. So go see the movie when it comes out. If you have seen it, I would love to know your thoughts on it. Please, of course, if you're going to spoil anything, put a spoiler tag, because there's some stuff that happens where it's like, that's just so good as a surprise. So please put the spoiler tag. Don't spoil anything about this movie. In general, I would love to know your thoughts. If you guys have any questions, I won't spoil anything, of course, but if you have any random questions about the character or anything like that from the movie, what I think about a specific element, you can definitely ask, and I will give you the best answer I possibly can without spoiling anything from the actual film. So any comments you guys have, please put them down in the comment section below. Check out the movie when it comes out. You will not be disappointed, and I can pretty much guarantee that, unless you just hate good stuff, you will not be disappointed with this movie. So thanks for checking this out. Like I said, if you guys have any comments, please put them down in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.